And can get kind of fringy, but I would just let this guy come out and throw that hard sinker and back it up with the hard slider and pitch in the late innings for me. So they did say right-handed starter. It was the way he was announced. But I think long-term we're looking at a potential high-leverage reliever.
Well, Tigers do love their big arms and arm strength. They were happy to get Faedo in the first round for that reason. More big arms.
San Francisco Giants.
Giants select draft ID 589, Logan Harassa, a right-handed reliever from the University of Buffalo.
Giants select Logan Harassa, right-handed pitcher from the University of Buffalo.
Logan Harassa, Bobby Hurley's school, by the way, not too long ago coaching basketball. And Logan out of the University of Buffalo getting the call. And as they effort, we will continue to effort. The San Francisco Giants have been somewhat fun, too, early on with Elio Ramos and with Jacob Gonzalez, son of Luis Gonzalez. They have drafted pitchers today, though. It's been a lefty in Seth Corey. Watched him pitch out of Utah, and then a pair of righties. Now they go with the young college pitcher out of Buffalo. And so we continue to see who, in fact, and how they round out their roster. The New York Mets are waiting next. These gentlemen are efforting a little bit more on. Wait, you got something?
Well, I have Max Roberts, the lefty from Wabash Valley. He's a projection guy, is what we're looking at here. You know, he's 6'5", listed at 6'5", 160. So if he adds some weight and strength, you could see an uptick in stuff. So you like the feel for pitching. You're hoping he gets stronger.
New York Mets now.
Mets select redraft 956, O'Neill Connor, right-handed pitcher, Cal State Northridge. Mets select Connor O'Neill, right-handed pitcher from Cal State Northridge.
Again, we call it freeway baseball, whether it be the Fullertons or the Long Beach States or the Northridges or the Irvines. There's great baseball right there within an hour drive. Connor O'Neill at Cal State Northridge. 6'2" right-hander gets the call in the 7th round by the Mets.
I'm backing up here on guys in my area, so I'm going to continue to text and try to find out some information.
That's all right. We'll continue to find out information. You're getting more back information?
No. Connor O'Neill looks like he's a senior reliever. Pitches around 90-92, throws a lot of sliders. He's got curveballs and changeups he can mix in there too, and throws some strikes. He's kind of a pitchability bullpen option rather than an overpowering
in
guy.
Lily cross country, they go with the California kid from UC.
Great super regional series over the weekend between Cal State Fullerton and Long Beach State. Yes. And I understand why they kind of line the teams up geographically, but I wish they didn't always make the West Coast teams play each other, because I really think if you had Fullerton and Long Beach in two different regionals, I know I'm sidetracking here, they both might have wound up in Omaha.
I love that subject.
Baltimore, select ID number 1901, Benton Brazil, a catcher from Wake Forest University in North Carolina.
Orioles select Ben Brazil, a catcher from Wake Forest University.
Sheets and Dunshee, and a team that certainly, as you said, was one of the great baseball stories all season long with what Wake Forest was able to do. And so Benton Brazil now gets the call, and obviously here's a player that took advantage of others bringing them to campus, but that's not it. I mean, for him, they hit so many homers. They hit over 100 as a team, and he was a double-digit home run guy.
Hit some big homers in the regionals too.
Yep.
So I want to say the last few days have blurred together. I don't know why, as we've been working on draft stuff. And he, I believe, hit the home run, whatever day it was. There's so much rain in Gainesville, it seemed like that regional lasted a week. But he hit a 9th-inning home run to send, I believe, the opener into extra innings. And as we said, very talented team. I believe they led the nation in home runs. We saw Stuart Fairchild get drafted. We saw Gavin Sheets get drafted. And now Ben Brazil, power-hitting catcher, getting drafted.
The Toronto Blue Jays have grabbed middle infielders a lot this afternoon. They go again.
Blue Jays select draft ID number 3736. Laws Colton, the right-handed pitcher, University, North Carolina, Charlotte.
Blue Jays select Colton Laws, right-handed pitcher from UNC, Charlotte.
At one point, it was a 27 consecutive inning scoreless streak for Colton Laws. This is a talented pitcher pitching in the CUSA, so you know he's facing very good competition. 7th-round pick of the Jays, Colton Laws.
Yeah, he began his career at East Carolina, 6'8", 223, but we've talked about a couple guys like this. For a big guy, he's more of a pitchability guy than an overpowering guy. It's 88, 91, up to 93. He'll touch a 4 or 5 every once in a while, but it's more about angle and plane than it is an overpowering fastball. But throwing strikes from that kind of that size, that angle, very difficult to hit. His slider can be a solid pitch at times. It also can be slurvy. That's inconsistent. Needs work on the changeup, but he is around the strike zone a lot. Second UNC Charlotte player we've seen drafted in the first 10 rounds after Netzer going to the Red Sox in the 3rd round.
Very quickly, Logan Harasta out of Buffalo, long arm, big arm reliever up to 96 out of the bullpen.
Well done by you. Dodgers.
Dodgers select redraft 2933 Pop Zachary, right-handed pitcher, University of Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky.
Dodgers select Zachary Pop, right-handed pitcher from the University of Kentucky.
Power arm, high school draft pick, and part of Nick Mingione's team again that's going to be around that SEC in that beautiful new ballpark next year for a long time to come. Zach Pop.
My unofficial count, the 4th Wildcat drafted so far this year. I think this guy could have gone in the 3rd or 4th round. He certainly had that kind of arm, but he came down with a forearm strain late in the year. You came back and pitched before the season was ended. He did pitch in the Super Regional. And this guy was in the Cape. He actually started at Kentucky, more of a reliever and kind of on a short leash, but you could see this guy up to 99 with some sink. When he throws as a starter, it was 92, 96. He's got a slider in the upper 80s, more of a hard slider than a sharp slider. This is an interesting guy. I think you could try to run him out as a starter based on the Cape. You could try to expedite him as a reliever. It's going to come down to strikes. Didn't throw a lot of strikes, which is why he did not earn a great degree of trust.
Kentucky gets another call. The Red Sox now.
Red Sox select draft ID 249 Esplin Tyler, outfielder at IMG Academy, Bradenton, Florida.
Red Sox select Tyler Esplin, an outfielder from IMG Academy in Florida.
They schedule tough. They have the budget to go play just about anywhere they need to play. We've seen them over the last few years at NHSI. I had a chance to see them this year at Perfect Games High School Showdown. This is a school that is put together for athletes to develop, and a call for this young man, certainly that's not a huge surprise either.
I'm going to have to effort with my Florida scouts to try to get some info on him, so bear with me.
Now, we're bearing. We're just fine. Eplin, by the way, this year, a senior certainly, as he was selected, had a really good year, hit .432. And for Esplin, it was just kind of a leadership kind of year. And you have to understand that sort of competition, traveling with the budget, playing the very best in the state, playing the very best in the nation, additional numbers with regard to what he did this year, an on-base of .535 and a .716 slugging percentage. You kind of aren't surprised. They're high school numbers. He homered 4 times. We'll find out more. But for now, in the 7th round, here go the Indians.
Cleveland selects draft ID 2361 McCarty, Kirkland, left-handed starter, University of Southern Mississippi, hometown of Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Indians select Kirk McCarty, left-handed pitcher from the University of Southern Mississippi.
So Kirk McCarty, again, part of the great story with Southern Miss. He is a local product, Oak Grove High School there. Undersized left-handed pitcher. Velocity carrying him this far, or is it just a great touch and feel?
It's more touch and feel. I think the curveball is the best pitch. You maybe think that he's not a big guy. Maybe you think he's a reliever who comes in and gets lefties out at the pro level as he advances through the minor leagues, kind of 88, 91. Has a changeup. Very successful for Southern Miss. Has some success in the Cape Cod League. So, again, 5'10 lefty who's throwing around 88, 90. That guy's going to be asked to prove himself at every level as a pro. But so far, he's met every challenge at the amateur level, and he's met it quite well.
Yeah, had a really big year on a team that won a whole bunch of meaningful baseball games. Actually, just under 100 innings of work for Kirk McCarty, 99 2/3 innings. But he missed a bunch of bats, 103 strikeouts. Mike Rizzo's crew, the Washington Nationals, now.
Washington Nationals select draft ID 3639 Tetrol Jackson, a right-handed pitcher from State College of Florida, Manatee, Sarasota.
Nationals select Jackson Tetroltz, right-handed pitcher from the State College of Florida, Manatee, Sarasota.
Well, here we go again. More community college, junior college baseball. In this case, it's Jackson Tetrall, big left-handed pitcher, finishing his sophomore year, and a pitcher that had very, very good numbers. Again, a ton of strikeouts, 80 in the third innings, 105 strikeouts. So Jackson Tetrall continues a theme, Florida-based, talented junior college players.
Yeah, and this is a guy who probably gets noticed because he's on Brendan Little's team.
Right.
Yeah, and we saw Brendan Little go in the first round. Guy began his career at Cameron University in Oklahoma. 88, 93. He's not Brendan Little with the fastball, but then few guys are. He's got some physical projection remaining, has a chance to add more velocity to that fastball. What you're looking at here is the report on him is inconsistent but athletic. You see some things you like. You just got to kind of polish him up and hope you have something there. The breaking ball is kind of average. Changeup hasn't thrown as much. You need to repeat the delivery a little bit better.
If I can, Tyler Esplin from IMG, strong, solid, athletic build, good approach, left-handed bat, 4-for-4 game against Nick Storrs earlier this spring.
Ooh, good nugget.
Rangers select redraft 4073, Urena, Joel, left-handed pitcher, Monroe College, New York, New York.
Rangers select Joel Urena, left-handed pitcher from Monroe College in New Rochelle, New York.
So Joel Urena, lefty, he gets the call. Played for the Bronx Bombers team, a team that has been built here in New York City for some kids who might not have the opportunity to play. That needs to be mentioned, certainly. So he's taken advantage of it. This was a young man that last year was selected by the New York Mets in the 27th round, and in the state of New York, amongst many, was thought as a top 5 left-handed pitcher in New York. So he was very active on the travel ball circuit, Joel Urena.
Going back to my Northeast Scouts for some information on Urena. So we'll come back with you pretty soon as we're starting to get into the rounds where this is happening a little more frequently.
It feels like there are more junior college players than normal. Like we're usually trying to scramble and prepare for college seniors, and we obviously ask about JUCO guys too, but it does feel like more of a JUCO feel than we've seen in most years.
Well, I'll give a quick kudos to Eric Semler, who supports that Bronx Bombers team. I had the good fortune of being around their fundraiser during the winter meetings, came and snuck up. So good thing, sending players into professional baseball as well. The Cubs now.
Cubs select draft ID 6827, Thomas Ricky Tyler, a left-handed pitcher from Fresno State.
Cubs select Ricky Tyler Thomas, left-handed pitcher from Fresno State University.
So Ricky Tyler Thomas, Fresno State, gets the call, and obviously a left-handed thrower and a young man who prepped in the San Diego area. Fresno State, we hear the name because of Mr. Judge a lot this year, now a pitcher.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some other pitchers that have come from that. Matt Garza went to Fresno State. And Ricky Tyler Thomas was a guy who, we almost put him in the top 100 when we first put that out. And then he just kind of like that, and then he didn't make our top 200. A lot of guys in the area thought he was pitching hurt. Now, he never missed a start. He pitched in relief for Team USA. Good numbers, but the stuff was just okay. He's really profiles more as a kind of pitchability lefty when he is throwing well, and normally he's got really good fastball command, but he was down to the mid-80s. Maybe he'd be up to touching 90 early, but he wouldn't be able to keep it. Still had a really good changeup. Breaking ball's always been a little bit fringy for him, but I think the problem is going to be whether or not he's healthy.
A lot of walks, 40 walks in 56 innings. Let's go to the 8th round, Twins.
Twins select ID 9578, Salmons Brian, a left-handed pitcher from Western Carolina U. Hometown, Wilmington, North Carolina.
Twins select Brian Salmons, left-handed pitcher from Western Carolina University.
So Western Carolina now represented. The Catamounts, good to see the Catamounts on the map getting a call as we get things going now in the 8th round.
Another Cape Leaguer who's part of Yarmouth Dennis's championship team. Big body guy. I think he's about 6'2", 240. And he I don't know if he has a pitch you'd point to as his best. It's 88, maybe touching a 93, sits 88, 90 a lot. But he can throw 4 pitches and he throws strikes and he competes. It seems like Yarmouth Dennis always has a bunch of guys like that. They win the Cape Championship, it seems more often than not. Guys who don't necessarily light up the radar gun but can really pitch and compete. And he's an example of that.
Well, he missed a whole bunch of bats, 104 in a third innings of work. 108 strikeouts. You notice the theme now that we're in this round, folks. You're talking about front of rotation pitchers on mid-major or lower-level teams, but these are guys that were their heart and soul guys, and why not? Why not give these guys a chance to fill out rosters? Reds now.
Reds select ID 9956, Ryan Connor, right-handed pitcher, University of Illinois, Chicago, hometown Homer Glen, Illinois.
Reds select Connor Ryan, right-handed pitcher from the University of Illinois, Chicago.
Curtis Granderson's UIC, a beautiful ballpark on campus, certainly, and Ryan Connor, or Connor Ryan, I should say, now gets an opportunity, 2 first names. Hang with me on that one.
Yeah,
but
totally
obviously, we saw Dalton Varsho picked very early last night. He was a last night pick. He plays in that same conference, the Horizon League, a catcher, and so now a pitcher being selected.
So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. Joel Urena from Monroe. I got a one-word response from a scout, and that was project. So it shouldn't shock anybody that the Texas Rangers took somebody who has some upside and is a project, even as a college guy.
So we continue to dig in now. They'll hear, soon they will get a 3-word text. Stop texting me. They will start hearing from some of their scouts.
I hope not.
I will say, I mean, this is a kind of a baseball community event. We got all 30 teams participating. We're going to have 240 players drafted today, and we do get a lot of help. So we've yet to get that. If people trying to help us out, let these guys get the little bit of honor on their day.
I like it. San Diego Padres.
Padres select draft ID 8100, Basabe Olivier, a shortstop from Faulkner University.
Padres select Olivier Basabe, a shortstop from Faulkner University in Montgomery, Alabama.
Faulkner could have, should have, might have won the NAIA World Series. They played against Lewis Clark State, who gets a bye all the way through. I mean, all the way through. And so this young man, obviously, Asave, playing in some very key games, but on a very, very talented team. Faulkner playing to the final game of that NAIA World Series. And obviously, these are the guys at the NAIA mid-major level that are getting the call late because their teams played late. And when you're playing an extra 20 games, you can certainly open your eyes to who you are. So in this case, a selection by the San Diego Padres that's earned by Extra Baseball. But Faulkner in itself, a great story out of Montgomery, Alabama. That's where Faulkner is. And now each and every year, truth be told, one of my college rivals. I attended Auburn Montgomery, so always fun to see Faulkner. But more games help players, right? Especially if you're a fringy player.
Sure, and it looks like Basabe hit 342 this year at Faulkner, so he put up some good numbers, showed some bat-to-ball skills.
Outstanding. Tampa Rays now ready to go. Earlier, we've seen the Rays with a couple of pitchers, the college level, and of course last night it was fun. It was Brendan McKay. It was Drew Rasmussen out of Oregon State University and Michael Mercado. Rays now.
Tampa Bay selects draft ID 5605. Riley O'Brien, right-handed pitcher, College of Idaho.
Rays select Riley O'Brien, right-handed pitcher from the College of Idaho.
So we go up to the beautiful part of the world and another smaller level when you talk about the College of Idaho, the Yotes. And so Mr. O'Brien gets the call on this one. When you look at what he had done on the year, he's another guy that pitched as a swingman. 20 appearances, 6 starts, had a very, very good year. In 67 innings, gentlemen, he struck out 81, and opponents barely clipped over 200 against him. So Riley O'Brien for the Yotes got his attention, not based on Extra Baseball games, though. He played on a squad that was 25-30, so one would guess that there's some stuff that's grabbing attention of the scouts. Riley O'Brien has his name called by the Tampa Bay Rays and catching their attention.
Well, I'm going to backtrack to Olivier Basabe, the Faulkner shortstop who you just mentioned, who the Padres took. He's an offensive-minded infielder. It's plus pull power. You know, that's what you're getting with him. You're hoping there's enough field to hit, but it's plus pull power. He can really take charge on the fastball.
Thank you guys for telling them, making it a lot better. The Atlanta Braves now go to work in the 8th round.
The Braves select number 4452. Curtis John, left-hand reliever, Lenore Ryan University, Lenore, North Carolina.
Braves select John Curtis, left-handed pitcher from Lenore Ryan University in North Carolina.
John Curtis, obviously a very talented player coming out at the high school ranks, now takes it to the next level, again, the small college ranks. So John Curtis gets the call.
Yeah, I said earlier, and I'm going to have to put up now that I spoke out, that when the Braves took Bruce Zimmerman out of Mount Olive, I said, well, I'd had all this hubris. I was prepared for Lenore Ryan to have some guys drafted. I do have John Curtis on my draft list, thankfully. Lefty, up to 94 with a hammered curveball. Now, it doesn't always know where it's going, so it's raw. But, we talked about, again, there's two types of pitchers that generally get picked here. It's either guys with big arms that don't have the control and command to put them higher in the draft, or guys who have the ability to put the ball where they want but don't have the big-time stuff. So he falls into that first category.
The Oakland A's were exciting last night because Austin Beck is exciting and fun. A young man who was hurt for an entire year, missed the entire travel ball scene, but did enough prior to that to catch attention, then got healthy and just as strong better on the other side. The A's now go to work in the 8th round today.
Oakland selects redraft 3083, Brian Howard, a right-handed pitcher from TCU.
A's select Brian Howard, right-handed pitcher from Texas Christian University.
Well, there's a common name, and that's a lot of man inside that purple uniform for the Horned Frogs. 6 feet 9 inches tall, and a young man out of St. Louis, Missouri.
6'9" and may not even weigh 200 pounds. Like, he's interesting. He was obviously when he was coming out of high school, the word projectable was thrown around a little bit on him. And he just hasn't gotten a whole lot stronger, but he's been a good pitcher for TCU. 88, 89 usually. He'll touch the 92s. Curveball, cutter, he uses as kind of a change of pace pitch. Throws strikes, competes. He's had an older transposition in the past, but just a very good college pitcher. We've had a run on a number of tall guys who have not, who don't throw particularly hard. And then Connor Ryan, the University of Illinois, Chicago right-hander, up to 93 with a decent slider that can get righties out. And to throw in one more tidbit on Olivier Basabe from Faulkner, who the Padres took, also has some defensive value up the middle as a second baseman shortstop.
We now know more about Olivier Basabe than all of his teammates know. That's good stuff.
Well, that's because we're getting help by scouts. Don't point at the phone.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate that. Faulkner University. The Diamondbacks now are ready to make their call in the 8th round. The Arizona Diamondbacks, who last night Pavin Smith and Drew Ellis out of Louisville, Dalton Varsho. We mentioned him, a mid-major player. Mike Hazen, the first-year general manager. And the Diamondbacks, this is a system that this is very common knowledge. If you're still watching at this point in the draft, you know baseball. This is a system that is desperately seeking help to grow quickly. Does that mean you take as many college guys as you can?
Not necessarily. You got to fill all levels, and you want upside. And I think they were conservative with the college guys early, and then in day 2 here they've been a little bit more aggressive. Let's see if they keep that going here.
Good toss.
Thank you.
Arizona selects redraft 7751, Cisnera Timothy, a catcher out of the University of Oregon, Eugene, Oregon.
Arizona selects Tim Cisnera, a catcher from the University of Oregon.
I've been fortunate enough to watch this man catch for a couple of years, and again, the same thing. It comes down. It's exciting that he's a left-handed bat. Does he hit enough because he can catch?
Right. I mean, you pretty much summed up the pluses and the minuses with him. He's always been a good defender. Plus catch and throw skills. Scouts love his ability behind the plate. He works with pitchers well. A kind of college catcher, mature leader. But the bat just hasn't come around. It's not that he lacks strength or anything like that. It's just he hasn't hit. And, but if you can catch and throw, you're going to get some chances in pro ball and see if you can make it as a backup. And then maybe something gets figured out and the bat starts to come enough. When you're a plus catch and throw guy behind the plate, you don't have to hit a ton to get to the big leagues or to play for a while, even in the minor leagues. You just got to hit just enough, and we'll have to see if Cisnera can do that.
Find myself seeing catchers all the time at that level, thinking they'll get the call like this one. The Phillies now in the 8th round.
Phillies select draft ID number 6533, Mesquita, Jordani Mesquita, a left-hand pitcher, no school, hometown Hazleton, Pennsylvania.
Phillies select Jordani Mesquita, left-handed pitcher, no school.
See, Darren, when we hear no school, We're both hoping that it's in the other guy's half of the country. Jonathan has Pennsylvania, so he's going to the text.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I don't. I guess they went to his backyard to find out. I mean, a lot of times now, guys are when it's no school. It may have been a homeschool.
May have been homeschool,
kind of
absolutely.
Cyber
or if he's a
school,
college guy who
left school. That happened with a couple of guys that we've seen. But I will effort to try to find some information on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about a homeschool player, and it happens a lot. There are times that a player has sights set on the college ranks, may graduate early or may homeschool, and the college situation doesn't work out as he wants it. So Jordani Mesquita gets the call, and he gets the call by the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies certainly well aware of who he is, and with the great support of all of the draft world, those that love it and are passionate at the scouting community, we expect to hear from you. In the 8th round, David Stern's crew, the Milwaukee Brewers, with their selection.
Milwaukee selects ID number 1665 Rose Jason, a right-handed starter from the University of Utah, hometown of Bella Vista, Arkansas.
Brewers select Jason Rose, right-handed pitcher from the University of Utah.
I'll take a bit, and you be the closer, though I don't know if Rose will be a closer. This is a pretty good big arm. This is a Friday night starter. He came in, he played with his brother, obviously, which meant a lot to him initially at Utah. Riley Otteson is, to me, the more projectable arm, is maybe the better overall athlete. But both these guys, that's the interesting thing, and Otteson and Jason Rose, Jonathan, they're both athletes who became pitchers, and Rose with a pretty big, yet at times inconsistent arm.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you put an athlete on the mound and it starts to come, that's good. The good pitching staff at Utah. Friday night starter, set records and strikeouts, single season and career. It's a split camp, starter versus reliever. I think it depends on what you think. I'd give him the chance to start because those are hard to find. But you move him into the bullpen, help him tighten up his breaking ball, and he can get there in a hurry. I mean, tighten up the breaking ball, better fastball command, and you might unlock something here.
Yeah, it's fun. Good changeup as well. Angels now.
Angels select draft ID 700 Riley Connor, a right-handed starter from the University of South Carolina Aiken in Aiken, South Carolina.
Angels select Connor Riley, right-handed pitcher from the University of South Carolina Aiken.
So the Angels, who were so much fun last night with Joe Adele, go back to USC Aiken now, go back to that part of the world and select a junior who obviously out of Aurora, Illinois, did enough to catch their eye, and a junior who this year did not pitch actively for the team, unless I'm seeing that incorrectly, out of USC Aiken. So we try to find out everything we can about Connor Riley, the right-hander, USC Aiken, the Pacers. And so Riley obviously catching attention of those that saw him pitch, and we'll do our best to figure out why, in fact, and why he grew so much. As a matter of fact, this year, 16 starts, 83 innings. Gentlemen, 130 strikeouts. 130 strikeouts in 83 innings. He did work this year, and he worked very effectively and worthy of that selection by the Angels. We'll hear some more about him in a bit. The Rockies.
4960 Boswell Brett, second baseman, University of Texas, Austin, Texas.
Rockies select Brett Boswell, second baseman from the University of Texas.
So again, Brett Boswell, Colorado Rockies, right there in their sweet spot where they have seen this young man play quite a bit. This was a talented high school player as well on the travel ball team for the Dallas Mustangs. Left-handed hitter, too.
Yeah, he's a hard guy to figure out because you mentioned he was a highly touted prospect coming out of high school where you would have thought that coming, he's a redshirt junior now, but that he would have maybe developed into a top, 2-3 round pick. He was that kind of talented guy. And he's played great in summer ball. Last year, we mentioned the California Collegiate League with a couple of these guys. He showed raw power. He showed good speed. He showed solid arm strength. And he just hasn't hit this year at Texas. He's never really hit that much at Texas. So this is an upside play. You're taking the tools over the performance here, and you're hoping with some instruction that you can turn those tools into more consistent production. For whatever reason, I don't think it's just a matter of wood versus metal. He's hit better with wood bats in summer ball than he has with metal during the spring.
273, 384, 444 this year. White Sox now.
White Sox select draft ID 9628 Abbott Sam, first baseman from Curtis High School in University Place, Washington.
White Sox select Sam Abbott, first baseman from Curtis High School in Washington.
So here we are in the 8th round, and we see a high school corner infielder selected. When you read into that, what do you read?
You read that he wasn't seen by a lot of guys.
Okay.
And that he actually is committed to play another sport in college. You want to guess what it is?
How about football?
How about water polo?
Wow.
So, yeah, he's like a big-time water polo player in the state of Washington. So he's a good athlete, and that's what he's going to head to Long Beach State for. I don't know how a dirt bag works in the water, but it'll be interesting to see. He's got some power, from the left side. He's big, 6'5". His mom was from the Soviet Union and was an Olympian, so there's a lot of athleticism there. So kind of an interesting multi-sport combination here. I don't know if you can play water polo in college and baseball in the minor leagues.
Maybe on the U.S. national team. That's how good he is. Pirates now.
Select draft ID 1470 Wyman, Blake Wyman, a left-handed starter from the University of Kansas in Lawrence, Kansas.
Pirates select Blake Wyman, left-handed pitcher from the University of Kansas.
Kansas baseball, Blake Wyman, the selection.
Top, I believe he's the first player we've had drafted out of Kansas. Kansas, which was so productive last year, led by guys like Riley Pint, not as fertile this year. He's the first player drafted, lefty reliever for Kansas. Has a chance to start. He did that as a sophomore. It's average stuff, but a lot of strikes. He's been successful for Kansas. I've got all kinds of blanks to fill in here. First, Connor Riley, the Angels pick from USC Aiken, up to 93. His slider is his second pitch. And then the mystery man, Jordani Mesquita of no school with the Phillies. I've gotten where this guy sounds interesting. 91-94, left-handed pitcher with an above-average curve, loose arm. I guess he moved here from the Dominican Republic right before the deadline to be eligible for the draft, and not a lot of teams knew about him. And it sounds like that could be a really nice pick for the Phillies. That could pan out. Good scouting by the Phillies to find that guy.
Boy, if I could soapbox that, talented players out of the Dominican that don't sign when they're 16, 17 years old can get lost. This may turn out to be a great story. Great catch. The Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins now ready to go.
Marlins select draft ID 6409 Barnes, Jared, a catcher from University of South Alabama.
Marlins select Jared Barnes, a catcher from the University of South Alabama.
Well, this is what we've talked about, college catchers that do things well. Either it's an extreme bat or it's an extreme glove, but you continue to work if you work from behind the plate. So out of the University of South Alabama, it was a man that also, he battled an injury late in the year, a finger injury, but he has his name called.
No, exactly, and you were right. He's a catch and throw guy, and we're going to see a lot of catchers. Probably, what do we have, about 75 picks or so left? We may see 10 good catch and throw guys go because they're either A, they're in demand, and B, if some of the senior signs, that's something you look for. But he's a catch and throw guy. The bat's a little bit light, which is why he's in the 8th round rather than say 4 to 7. And as you noted, hurt his finger. Season ended in May, but this is a guy who you feel good that he's going to come into pro ball, be able to handle pro caliber pitching because he's such a good receiver, and you'll see what happens with the bat. If he doesn't hit, maybe he still makes it as a defensive minded backup.
There's another player, pitcher Randy Bell on his squad. May have his name called soon. Royals now.
Kansas City Royals select ID 2718 Cap Holden, left-handed pitcher, University of Central Oklahoma, Edmond, Oklahoma.
Royals select Holden Capps, left-handed pitcher from the University of Central Oklahoma.
A school that certainly Central Oklahoma has a rich baseball tradition, and a school in Central Oklahoma that has had some very good wrestling of all sports along the way. In this case, they make the call. Not a surprise, Central Oklahoma, we've had a lot of players come around and come this way, so the call goes to Mr. Taft.
I want to go back just a second to Jordani Mesquita because it's kind of one of these interesting cases where it shows how important it is for your domestic amateur scouting department and your international scouting department to play nicely in the sandbox, so to speak. The international scout in the Phillies knew about Mosqueda. They had to get him through the draft. They had a good arm from the left side, and it was that communication between the departments that probably allowed that to happen for the Phillies.
Houston Astros now about to make their pick. We talked about what they did at the end of last night with J.J. Matajevic, a sweet swinging left-handed first baseman. They got it now?
Houston Astros select draft ID 1776, Julks Corey, center fielder, University of Houston.
Astros select Corey Julks, center fielder from the University of Houston.
Obviously, Seth Romero, a name that was mentioned a lot with the ups and downs with the University of Houston. But this is, again, at the end of the regular season, one of the hottest teams in all of college baseball when you spoke of what the Houston Cougars were doing. Corey Julks, right-handed hitting outfielder, gets the call.
Yeah, I like this pick here. I mean, you get a college performer who's got some power, he's got some speed. I think the power is more pop over a pure hitter. He's played center field, he's played second base, so maybe you can try him on the dirt. So he can help you win in a couple different ways, and he can play a variety of positions. Going back to Holden Capps, who was the Royals pick out of Central Oklahoma, smaller left-handed pitcher, up to 91. Secondary stuff's not quite as good as the fastball, but he really competes.
Corey Julks out of Friendswood, Texas, Clearbrook High School, and was a young man who was All-American Conference first team. So these are real numbers, great speed on the base pads, and a season in which it saw him steal 15 bases. It saw him with a .335 and an on-base .426, slugging .572 with 9 home runs. Mr. Julks might turn out to be a fast mover and fill out some rosters nicely. Yankees.
The New York Yankees select ID number 8863, Zurak Kyle, right-handed pitcher, Radford University.
Yankees select Kyle Zurak, right-handed pitcher from Radford University in Virginia.
The Radford Highlanders, and Kyle Zurak gets the call, and for a team, again, that's playing a little bit further off the main grid, and certainly for Ryder, that means you're doing very, very good things. And for Zurak, he did. He was the guy that was a swing man, had 25 overall appearances, made 4 starts, 60 innings of work, but like many when you see called at this point, he missed a ton of bats. 73 strikeouts for Zurak in 60 innings of work, and there was just a handful of starts. He pitched against some quality teams when Ryder did have their hands full. Very, very good numbers for Kyle Zurak, and so Zurak gets the call by the New York Yankees, which means that they saw him plenty. This is a senior, too, out of East Elmhurst, New York, and a senior that gets the call, 6'1", 192 pounds. Kyle Zurak for the New York Yankees in the 8th round, and so this is, again, where we see guys that are going to get a chance to seize their own opportunity, be the back end of rosters. Opportunities up to them. The Mariners now.
The Mariners select draft ID 945, last name Cook, first name William, center fielder from Coastal Carolina University, Conway, South Carolina.
Mariners select Billy Cook, center fielder, Coastal Carolina.
Billy Cook Jr. out of Maitland, Florida, Trinity Prep, and a guy who bats from the right side gets the call. And again, this is a guy that he'll have to make a decision. He's got a year in which to decide if he goes back.
He does. I got to see a lot of him last year, actually, Darren. He was part of that College World Series championship team, and it's funny, the average fan may say, how Coastal Carolina win a national championship? But they've actually been a consistently good program, and that was a very deep college team. He's a center fielder. His 2 best attributes, I think, are his defense and his speed. Contact-type hitter. Did hit for more power this year, although the ball does fly. Coastal Carolina, they always hit a lot of home runs. He could be that kind of like 4th outfielder, who can run a little bit, come off the bench and do that, pinch hit. Not undersized guy, about 5'10", 175, so maybe not physical enough to be the everyday player, but a very good college player who was part of a national championship team.
Every year, what was fun about him is he saw his numbers improve. On-base percentage, freshman year, 303, then 415, then 479. The St. Louis Cardinals now.
Cardinals select draft ID 2975, Rivera Wilberto,
a right-handed pitcher from Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy.
Cardinals select Wilberto Rivera, right-handed pitcher from the Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy in Puerto Rico.
Wilberto Rivera, and a obviously 2017 grad, Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy, and this is such a great effort with Carlos Beltran. We've seen this for a couple of years. He's an FIU commit and ranked by many as one of the best right-handed pitchers at his age group coming out of Puerto Rico.
There was a lot of excitement, especially in the fall. He was up to about 97, and looked like an arm strength guy. He missed about a month. He had a hamstring issue. It appeared to be, and then the velocity kind of backed up a little bit. His breaking ball has improved. It's a little slurvy. He needs to tighten up some more. Has more of a reliever profile out of high school, and I think that's part of the reason why we didn't hear his name quite as much. And then getting back to Zurak, he was up to 95 with a hard breaking ball closing for Radford for most of the year. Reliever profile.
By the way, you're talking about it. Rivera touched 97 at Jupiter. Incredible to see what he did. So that may turn out to be a nice little steal. Tigers now.
Detroit Tigers select draft ID 1599, Green, Max, left-handed starter, Pepperdine University in Malibu, California.
Tigers select Max Green, left-handed pitcher from Pepperdine University in Malibu, California.
He's a junior. He's a left-handed pitcher, Max Green, and obviously he's a sophomore, was very active out of the bullpen. Green this year, I would imagine, will begin his career professionally out of Pepperdine.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with him in pro ball, because last year in the Northwoods League All-Star game, he threw in the mid-90s, so maybe you make him a reliever and just let him air it out and do that. The secondary stuff is average. You know, it doesn't stand out like the fastball, but you're talking about a lefty with big velocity, and also he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's listed at 6'1", 175. So when I see 6'1", 175, and I see 97 miles an hour in the Northwoods League All-Star game, I'm thinking that's a guy who probably winds up in the bullpen in the long run.
Max Green played just a little bit of travel ball baseball for Garcia Para Baseball Group. Nomar's brother Michael runs that group out of Southern California. Palos Verdes Peninsula High School, and by the way, very, very good in the classroom, and maybe that comes into it as well. San Francisco Giants now with their 8th round selection.
Giants select draft ID redraft 8991, John Gavin, a left-handed starter from Cal State Fullerton.
Giants select John Gavin, left-handed pitcher from Cal State Fullerton.
Well, this again is a fun team to be around. It's a fun team to watch. And John Gavin, I know it was fun hearing you guys talk about Scott Hurst earlier with what he did with a bat in his hand. But John Gavin was very, very dependable. This, along with Connor Siebold, was the guy they counted on for more than 100 innings this year.
Yeah, and I mean, a 3-year starter at Fullerton, been very successful there. Another big guy, Jim, who doesn't throw particularly hard, kind of will sit 90, 91, somewhere in that. He's got a decent changeup. Curveball isn't great, but he's got really good control. Shocking that a guy pitching in Fullerton's got good command. So he doesn't walk that many guys and throws a lot of strikes, pitches deep into games, knows how to mix his pitches. So even though the stuff is just fringy, I guess is probably the best way to put it, he's a guy who has shown that he's got some chances to start because of his ability to mix pitches.
The New York Mets now with their 8th round
Mets
pick.
select redraft 7647, Cobb, Trey, right-handed pitcher, Oklahoma State University.
Mets select Trey Cobb, right-handed pitcher from Oklahoma State.
For Josh Holliday's squad, a senior right-handed pitcher, and Oklahoma State again. This is a guy who's been Oklahoma State through and through, from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Not oversized, 6 feet 1 inches tall, but a very important part of the Cowboys squad all season long.
Yeah, he was part of the College World Series team last year. You know, he's played a variety of roles for him. He's started and relieved. I think he fits more as a reliever. That was his role this year. He was a guy who was a known quantity out of high school. And it's just, you know, he's your classic sinker slider guy. He'll be 90, 92, up to 94. He'll throw that slider. He can get right-handers out with it. Really good competitor. Like I said, big part of that Cowboys team that looked like it was going to the championship game last year before the Wildcats of Arizona knocked him out in the semifinals in Omaha last year.
Out of the pen, 26 2/3 innings, 36 strikeouts, and if you've seen him, he's got an 80-grade beard, and it's orange, much like the Cowboys' uniforms. Orioles pick. That's something orange.
The Orioles select ID number 3751, Jimmy Murphy, a right-handed starter from Fordham University in New York.
Orioles select Jimmy Murphy, right-handed pitcher from Fordham University in the Bronx, New York.
Fordham Baseball's Jimmy Murphy, and now obviously an opportunity to talk about the young man out of South Orange, New Jersey, Columbia High School, 5'11", so certainly at about an average size. First team All-Atlantic 10 selection, and was a team captain of this squad this year. But this is, again, a pitcher that has earned the right to have his name called. He's actually graduated Communications and Media Studies. He wants to work in new media. This is new media, right?
Sure.
We better hope he's good at pitching. We don't need him taking our job.
So he's going to work the right-hander, and on the season, like many at this level, pitched in a lot of big games, 90-plus innings, and a bunch of strikeouts, certainly 85 strikeouts. Very, very good control, but anytime there was a big game, pitched well against Long Beach State earlier this year, so Jimmy Murphy gets the call. Obviously now, when you're talking about Fordham, when you're talking about at this level, these guys are heart and soul players on their campuses. Toronto Blue Jays now with their 8th-round selection.
Toronto selects draft ID number 4233, Clemens Casey, the first baseman, University of Texas. He is the son of former Blue Jays pitcher Roger Clemens.
Blue Jays select Casey Clemens, a first baseman from the University of Texas.
Years back, this was a perfect game All-American. He was a high school phenom. Certainly, he was a pitcher, and then the arm betrayed him. He spent this past winter and fall retooling his swing. This is a young man. I actually had a chance to speak with him within the last few weeks. He hoped he'd get this opportunity. He said, any call is a good call. Dad, obviously a Hall of Famer. Any call, a good call. He's kind of made himself into a hitter.
He has. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where his pro career takes him, because he's one of the better hitters on a Texas team that was known more for its pitching. Did not pitch at all this year. But when I brought him up with scouts, they talked about when they saw him pitch in 2016, which was briefly. He touched 93. He flashed a plus breaking ball and an average changeup. I still think, at least a lot of scouts I talked to, wonder if the pitching might have a higher ceiling. So it'll be interesting. He's got, there's another Clemens on that team too, Cody Clemens,
right,
eligible as a sophomore. DH this year, third baseman, DH this year, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Don't know if we'll hear his name called, but it seems like there's always at least one Clemens this year, too, on the Longhorns roster.
Seems to appreciate the game, doesn't take it for granted. Obviously, with what his dad accomplished, you might think it'd be the other way, but it was a breath of fresh air recently talking with Casey Clemens, who said, if I have my name called, it'll be a dream come true. All right, Case, go to work. And as he said, just understand they might have you pitch at some point. Los Angeles Dodgers are getting their paperwork together, and Riley Otteson, part of the names that were called earlier today. Jaron Kendall last night, an outfielder, Wisconsin-born and raised. Vandy grew up. He was a pick last night. Now the Dodgers here in the 8th.
Dodgers select draft ID 5459, Bannon Ryland, third baseman, Xavier University, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Dodgers select Ryland Bannon, a third baseman from Xavier University in Ohio.
Xavier baseball, and certainly Ryland Bannon gets an opportunity. This is a player that we've already had the Orioles dig deep and make a call into that crew earlier in the afternoon. 339 this year, 449 on base, 633 slug, and a bunch of homers, 15 homers.
Look at the steals, too.
Oh, wait, stand by. We're looking. There's 17 of those.
So this is a college performer. I mean, I think the raw power is probably the best tool. I think this is a guy who the reputation he has is of squeezing the most out of his ability. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be that kind of stolen base threat. It's a 40 steal pace on a pro level. If you play that number of games, but this is a guy who can play third base, and it's going to come down to how much does he hit. If he hits consistently enough to get to that power on a semi-regular basis, then you could really have something here. Good college player.
I did look at the steals, by the way. I was ready. He couldn't put me on the spot like that. I'll remember that. Boston Red Sox now, 8th-round pick.
Boston selects draft ID 1687, Stary
Zachary, first baseman, Oakland University, Rochester, Michigan.
Red Sox select Zach Sterry, first baseman from Oakland University in Michigan.
This is Horizon League baseball as well. We've been talking about a lot of the successes with Dalton Varsho, and this is a conference that has some interesting baseball. Wright State has played very good baseball as well. But out of Oakland, this is basically in the suburbs of Detroit. And Zach Sterry, who had a nice year, homered a bunch, 13 home runs, very good power. I'll look at the stolen bases, by the way, if you want me to.
Without looking, really? Because he's 5'11", 226. I was gonna.
Means he's a smart baseman.
Yeah, I guess I was gonna guess that maybe he had one steal. But you're getting one thing here with Zach Sterry. You're getting big left-handed power. It's big raw power. Not the most athletic guy, despite the 7 steals. I mean, it's first base only. Maybe DH, but this guy's put up numbers. Is it the highest level of college competition? No, but he's put up numbers. He's done the same thing in summer ball in the Shenandoah Valley League. So you're all in on the power with Zach Sterry. Typical, senior sign. You're getting a guy with one big tool for a bargain and see what else you get.
Cleveland Indians 8th round selection.
Cleveland selects draft ID 4005, Morgan Elijah, right-handed starter, Gonzaga University, hometown of Ranchos Palos Verdes, California.
Indians select Eli Morgan, right-handed pitcher from Gonzaga University in Washington.
So Morgan, obviously, Gonzaga, a fun story this year, and Morgan, part of that with what he was able to do. He is a junior right-handed pitcher, so a decision to make for this right-handed pitcher. 14 games, he was first-team All-WCC. Matter of fact, mid-season he was pitching well enough to be a Golden Spikes watch list guy.
Yeah, and this guy, this guy's a competitor. He might have, when we ranked the best tools early in the year, we did the best tools on guys who are on our top 200 list. This guy might have the best changeup in the draft. It's his calling card. He 15 strikeout game earlier this year against Cal State Fullerton, which was going to Omaha. He beat UCLA. He beat San Diego. He's got crazy stats. It's a fringy to average fastball, 89, 92. But that changeup is really, really a weapon. It's going to be fun to watch this guy. I would predict that this guy, when he enters pro ball, is going to just eat up lower-level hitters with that changeup. And we'll see what happens when he gets to high class A and above.
He's a follow guy out of high school at best. He's turned it into something. National
draft ID 6493, Rasher Jared, a right-handed pitcher from Samford University.
Nationals select Jared Brasher, right-handed pitcher from Samford University in Alabama.
Not Stanford, Samford, and a lot of great baseball. We hear South Alabama have their name called a lot. We've already had UAB. We know about Auburn and Alabama. But Jared Brasher out of Pell City, a smaller, more rural town, obviously Samford, year in and year out producing good baseball talent.
Yeah, this is a senior sign. We've been talking about big guys who don't throw hard. This is a smaller guy, 6'1", who throws 93, 98 and can show you a wipeout slider. Now, there's a lot of effort and a head whack in the delivery. It's not a great arm action. Not shockingly when I say that, the command can come and go.
A ton of walks, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a high-powered relief arm. You're taking this guy as a senior sign and seeing if your development crew can smooth him out a little bit, polish him up to where he's throwing more consistent strikes. You could dial him down a mile or two. He's still going to have a very good fastball, and then maybe he throws more strikes. But you're taking a very live arm here with a senior discount in round 8.
33 2/3 innings, 46 strikeouts, 30 walks. That's what Jonathan was talking about. The Texas Rangers now, 8th round.
Rangers select ID 5429, Reed Tyreek. He's a first baseman from Itawamba Junior College, hometown Hoka, Mississippi.
Rangers select Tyreek Reed, first baseman from Itawamba Junior College in Mississippi.
Tyreek Reed, Etowamba Junior College in Mississippi. And again, this is a player that at the junior college ranks, we talked about it earlier, the beat goes on. We're seeing guys at smaller colleges and JUCOs now that we know high school players are fewer and far between at this point. Reed gets the call.
Well, and it's like video game numbers that he put up in junior college.
Nice.
He just, the power is ridiculous. Hit over 500, for much of the year. A lot of slugging. It's a right first baseman, so you need to be comfortable that he's going to hit, but that's what he did. Now, he has a chance to go on to Mississippi State. If he doesn't sign, they would replace Brent Rooker, in effect, who will come out of Mississippi State as a much earlier pick in this draft. And maybe you want to see him for a year there before you make the determination that it's going to work. But it's hard to argue with the success that he's had, and all he can do is hit against the competition he's faced, and he's hit for power.
Itawamba Junior College, Samford University, Oakland University, UT Austin, all collegiate players at this point. Cubs, what do you have for us?
Cubs select draft ID 4884, Filieri Austin, the third baseman from MIT.
Cubs select Austin Filieri, third baseman from MIT.
Austin Filieri, 136 at-bats overall this year, and again, he hit the ball out of the yard a lot. 13 home runs. This is a young man that slugged .794, and so a big opportunity to give a chance for the bat to play. The young man who, as we talked about earlier, out of MIT, the MIT Engineers, and this is a nice bat.
Shocking that that's their nickname, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah, and he hit in the Cape. He hit a bunch of homers in the Cape Cod League, so he's done it there. He's hit double-digit homers every year at MIT. He plays shortstop, sort of a Jed Jerko kind of guy, so maybe he moves to third, maybe left field. He's just below average speed, even though his first step quickness is okay, but the raw power to all fields, he could have gone earlier in this. This is not bad for an 8th round pick out of a small school not exactly known for its athletics.
I knew he was familiar. He's from Hamilton High School in Phoenix, so his brain earned his way to MIT. You ready? 9th round. Here we go. Twins.
9451 Contreras Mark, an outfielder from UC Riverside, hometown Moreno Valley, California.
Twins select Mark Contreras, an outfielder from UC Riverside.
Isn't it not very surprising at all that Troy Percival's team continues to produce professionals? We obviously had a couple of names. Ryan Lilly was one that was called earlier, converted catcher. Well, this is a true position player, stayed as such, and this is a guy that went .366, on base of .427, had a bunch of good at-bats for Troy's team this year at UC Riverside. Percy's team didn't win enough games, but they're producing pros. So Mark Contreras gets the call out of Troy Percival's squad.
I'd like to go back quite a ways, actually, if I don't mind, to Jimmy Murphy. No, from the pitcher from Fordham the Orioles took. Power arm, up to 97 with a downer curveball. Just a little bit there on Murphy out of Fordham.
Reds, they're ready to roll as we move into deep this 9th round. Cincy, you're up.
Reds select ID 1495 Naughton Patrick, left-handed pitcher, Virginia Tech University, hometown West Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Reds select Patrick Naughton, a left-handed pitcher from Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, boy, they were spoilers on a couple of times this year, and this is a left-handed pitcher, and Packy Naughton, and a young man out of Massachusetts. I remember speaking on a couple of occasions with their coaching staff. They had some big wins early on in the season.
Yeah, he's kind of an interesting guy. Another guy who had a solid Cape performance, but overall in his career hasn't put up good numbers. But you look at him and you're like, I mean, it's a good body, left-hander, decent delivery, up to 95 out of the bullpen. It can be a little bit better than that. Does not have a great breaking ball. The slider will maybe touch average. The changeup flashes average at times. So he hasn't missed as many bats as you like, considering how good the stuff seems. So you probably keep him as a lefty out of the bullpen, but it's kind of an intriguing package of stuff there.
San Diego Padres now with their 9th round
Padres
pick.
select redraft 222 Cunningham Alex, a right-handed starter from Coastal Carolina University.
Padres select Alex Cunningham, a right-handed pitcher from Coastal Carolina.
More memories, and it's not just memories, it's guys that are still producing that were a big part of last year's team. This is a senior out of Duncan, South Carolina, Alex Cunningham with what he did last year and did some pretty good things this year as a preseason All-American.
He did. He was one of the heroes of their College World Series championship win against Arizona. He's got a good arm. He mainly pitches off a lively low 90s fastball. Tigers drafted him last year. There were some medical concerns that prompted him not to sign him, which is why he's back in the draft. So again, a little punchy here in the 9th round.
That's all right.
He's not bad in the draft. He's back in the draft. But you're gambling that you can keep him healthy. But you have a live arm, and a guy who's competed at the highest level of college baseball and succeeded. My memory's a little foggy right now because we're so draft focused. I want to say I think he was on the mound when they won. I think he was the guy who pitched the final game or the end of the final game and won the championship game for the Chanticleers.
Well, and so obviously memories like that and accomplishing that. He was drafted last year, 28th round, and up the opportunity on the draft, and obviously goes from the 28th round to the 9th round, and so obviously a big moment for now, Mr. Alex Cunningham. Rays, go for it.
Tampa Bay selects draft ID 9649. Andrew Gist, left-handed pitcher, University of Georgia.
Rays select Andrew Gist, left-handed pitcher from the University of Georgia.
So the Georgia Bulldogs send another pitcher into the professional ranks, and Andrew Gift gets the call, and you will tell us more about him.
I actually saw him pitch. I'm a Georgia alum. I was on campus one day this year, and Alex Faedo was pitching against him, so I got to see him pitch. He's a pitchability lefty who goes out there and competes. It's not well stuffed, but he matched Faedo inning for inning. Andrew just really competes. It's a pitchability lefty. It's a senior sign. Smaller guy. I think he's listed about 5'10", 190. But like I said, he can throw strikes. He can compete. You're getting him as a senior discount guy here, and you throw him out in pro ball and see what you get. At the very least, I think you're getting a guy who can compete for you at the lower levels of the minors. And as he works his way up, he'll have to prove himself against more advanced hitters. But he has, he's held his own against more advanced hitters at the college level in the SEC.
They had their ups and downs this year, but just clinching their spot in the SEC tournament, doing it against South Carolina on May 18th. So won some big games, and as he said, not a big left-hander. Coming Georgia, just north of Atlanta, Andrew Gist. Speaking of Georgia, the Braves.
The Braves select number 2145, Delgado Riley, shortstop, Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Braves select Riley Delgado, a shortstop from Middle Tennessee State University.
All 55 games, every game they played, he started at shortstop, Riley Delgado, and this is a young man that came from Miami to make his way up to play at Middle Tennessee State University, and an all-conference player, hit a bunch, and so is it the bat, is it the glove? Obviously, Delgado, both things as a senior shortstop now, heart and soul guy, very, very good in the classroom, all-academic team as well for the Conference USA, and so Riley Delgado, Middle Tennessee State University, gets the call. The Atlanta Braves not too far geographically in order to watch him play. Delgado, as we mentioned, 110 games overall at shortstop in his career for Middle Tennessee State University.
It's more glove over bat.
Okay.
You're getting a guy who you're hoping maybe could fit the utility profile ultimately as a senior discount guy here, but it's more glove over the bat on him.
So the Atlanta Braves, they grab themselves a shortstop. Nothing wrong with that, especially if it is glove over bat. We'll see if the bat joins in. The Oakland Athletics ready to roll now.
Oakland selects redraft 7163, Jared Poche, a left-handed pitcher from LSU.
A's select Jared Poche, a left-handed pitcher from LSU.
Is there anyone more heart and soul and a part of a team's roster than Jared Poche? He went, it felt like, all through Easter, all through all the spring holidays, and didn't give up a run. It's not overpowering stuff, right, guys?
Yeah, he was a pick in the teens last year. I want to say by the Padres. Don't have that in front of me.
14th round.
Okay. And he's kind of the same guy. He came back. He's a pitchability lefty. He's 6'1", 215, kind of a stocky lefty. Throws a lot of strikes. He's more of a floor than a ceiling guy. I think the best pitch is a curveball. He'll sit around 90 miles an hour. I think he came out and pitched a no-hitter in his first start of the season, and then took a no-hitter deep into the second game as well. We'll see him in Omaha. LSU's in Omaha, and he'll get one more chance to win a national title before he turns pro. This is a senior who's competed and succeeded at the very highest level of college baseball. Third LSU senior drafted so far after the double play combination. of Kramer Robertson and Cole Freeman.
Jared Poche, too, again, just embodies that type of baseball, that type of ballpark, that energy in the SEC down in Baton Rouge. The Arizona Diamondbacks now in the desert going to work.
Arizona selects redraft 6994 Duzenak Camden, a shortstop from Dallas Baptist University, Dallas, Texas.
Diamondbacks select Camden Duzenak, a shortstop from Dallas Baptist University.
So, again, Dallas Baptist sending professional baseball players along through the ranks, and this time it's a shortstop. Duzenak is a player that certainly has played in a lot of big games there. It's interesting to see his name called. And, gentlemen, any surprise here at this point in the draft?
No, he's kind of your typical senior sign. I mean, this is a guy who's going to endear himself to scouts because he's a max effort player, and I don't mean that he makes everything look hard. But
glove, though? Is it a glove guy?
I don't even know.
Number's not overwhelming.
I was say I don't even know if he's really got a tool that you'd really hang your hat on. There's no plus tool there. But just a guy who goes out and plays hard every day. So it's a guy who I'm thinking if you're a scout and if you watch this guy play for 4 years at the college level, you know he's going to go out and give you maximum effort. He's not going to have a problem competing at the pro level. It's kind of like a gut feel guy that when your organization says, hey, we need a guy we can sign for a few $1,000s as a senior toward the end of day 2, you feel good about putting your name on this guy.
Numbers certainly not overwhelming, as we mentioned. He talked about the heart and soul. He did homer 15 times this year. That may be a big reason. Phillies now.
Phillies select draft ID number 3959. Zollner, Jack Zollner, a third baseman from the University of New Mexico, hometown Gilbert, Arizona.
Phillies select Jack Zollner, a third baseman from the University of New Mexico.
There was no scarier offense this year than New Mexico's offense, and Zollner was certainly a part of it. This is a young man actually out of the great state of Arizona, but New Mexico scored so many runs this year, and this gentleman right in the heart of it.
I'm efforting.
That's all right. Well, I remember watching this young man play and watching him play in high school, and this was a team that you talk about, New Mexico, and what they had done offensively with regard to Lobos baseball, and it was overwhelming. And each and every time that they would be doing damage, Cameron Ming, players like that, Jared Ming, I should say, Jack Zollner was a part of that. 12 home runs this year, 663 slug, 470 on base. And I love looking at numbers that look like this. A 368 batting average, 37 walks, 26 strikeouts with power. So Jack Zollner, out of Phoenix, Arizona originally, finds his way into the draft. The Milwaukee Brewers on the clock now in the 9th round.
Milwaukee selects ID number 8765, Dallas Carroll, a third baseman from the University of Utah.
Brewers select Dallas Carroll, third baseman from the University of Utah.
We talked about Oliva. We've talked about Matajevic. Dallas Carroll may be the purest and best overall hitter in the conference. Overwhelming numbers this year. Can stay at third defensively. And it was interesting as we headed toward the end of the season, being around Pac-12 baseball players. It was said over and over again, whoever gets Dallas Carroll in the 9th or 10th round, because you just knew he would go here, gets a real steal. This is a guy that certainly is a leader, will be a guy that will move pretty quickly. I would guess this is a guy that has the skill set, the experience to start at a full season club if there's a need. I mean, obviously the Brewers have to have a need, but he can play on the corner infield at a full season level.
I think one of the things you have to realize, any of these guys are going to have to play their way onto a full season roster. Even if they're seniors, they have to make room. They're going to have to force their way and show that they deserve to move up. These are more or less every stop of the way proving themselves at the pro level.
And Carroll, it's going to be fun to watch his career. I saw him quite a bit as a collegiate. The Angels now.
Angels select draft ID 2087, Hanwich Brett, a right-handed starter from Stanford University in Palo Alto, California.
Angels select Brett Hanwich, right-handed pitcher from Stanford.
In Mark Marquis's final season, he had a lot of players overachieve. Brett Hanwich, a pitcher certainly that gets this opportunity out of Bradenton, Florida, out of Stanford, and he gets the call here in the 9th round.
I'm going to backtrack just a little bit.
Do it.
Carroll was the Mountain West Player of the Year, and you mentioned he's athletic enough to move to third, plus defender at first when he played there. And kind of a line drive guy. Could even maybe be an offensive-minded second baseman. Zollner, you talked about the power bat. Average athletically, missed some time because he broke his hand in May. That sort of hurt his stock a little bit. Used to play with Dustin Peterson, who's now a Braves prospect.
And I'll throw in Brett Hanwich, up to 96 out of the Stanford bullpen after being a starter for a couple of years. That's 8 straight seniors if you're scoring at home.
Colorado Rockies.
Draft ID 237, Bouchard, Sean, first baseman, UCLA.
Rockies select Sean Bouchard, a first baseman from UCLA.
Former perfect game All-American and a very talented prep player, Sean Bouchard. Ankle injuries cost him some time last year. UCLA, not a team known for their big offensive bats this year, but Sean Bouchard, when healthy, did very, very good stuff, did it within the Pac-12.
And I think, scouts think they has a chance to actually play third, which he never got a chance to go back to after the injury. They kind of got stuck at first. He's shown glimpses of good offensive tools, and this year he was using them, a lot more consistently than he had previously. But he's strong, he's physical, he's got bat speed. So there should be some power there if he can tap into it a little bit more consistently. And he's not a bad athlete. I think that ankle injury really slowed him down. But 100%, he should move well enough. And some run production tools that could profile at a corner.
Quality individual to a good character guy that they got there. Sean Bouchard had 9 home runs for UCLA, Coach Savage's squad. White Sox.
White Sox select redraft ID 9636, Didelo Craig, an outfielder from Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana.
White Sox select Craig Didelo, an outfielder from Indiana.
Craig Didelo gives the call that time. Didelo out of Washington, D.C., and for Indiana. So when we take a peek at what he has done, the numbers this year, a bunch of homers, big power, much like we talked about with Iowa earlier. 19 home runs for Craig. That's why he gets the call.
Indiana is a good place to hit, so it's not uncommon to put up some big numbers there. I'm going to dig a little bit and get you some tools information.
He only hit 258, so at least by looking at the numbers, it's power over hit. He was drafted after a slightly more productive junior year late in the 34th round by the Pirates and opted to come back for his senior year. More power, less other numbers. So, as a senior sign, though, there's some interesting things there.
Yeah, I just did get a quick scouting report. Obviously, the power is the tool you're buying there. It is power over his, Jonathan said. Decent outfielder, but you're basically buying into the left-handed power here.
19 homers. He's 6'5". Sounds interesting enough to me. Let's go with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Pirates select draft ID 7598, Madris, Bly Madris, an outfielder from Colorado Mesa University, Grand Junction, Colorado.
Pirates select Bly Madris, an outfielder from Colorado Mesa University.
Bly Madris gets the call, Colorado Mesa University. He had an amazing year, and these are numbers that were, like you were talking about earlier, video game numbers. 422 batting average, 513 on base, slug 757, and again, big power. 17 home runs, Colorado Mesa University. You talk about Grand Junction. They get excited about the Junior College World Series. They're also excited about Bly Madris and what he was able to do. Very, very good stuff. Very big power. 422. As a matter of fact, his entire team hit, but no one came close to hitting the way he hit. Benefiting a little bit from the surroundings and the atmosphere on a team that hit 335 on a team that slugged 522. But Bly Madris, this certainly a selection worthy of, in his 62 games, doing a ton of damage. Playing against that Division II level, and the Florida Marlins now on the clock. They make their call here in the 9th round.
Marlins select draft ID 2914, Baranek Cameron, a center fielder from Hope International University.
Marlins select Cameron Baranek, a center fielder from Hope International University in Fullerton, California.
Hope International University, the small college level, and Cameron at the NAIA level was the story. He was a big part of this team, on a team that won a bunch of games, 35 to be exact. There's power there, 14 home runs.
Yeah, and this was a guy who originally signed with UC Irvine. So this guy, you know, I'll admit I had not heard of Hope International University until it was just mentioned there. Signed with UC Irvine, but ran afoul of the NCAA for an agent-related issue, so he wound up at Hope International, NAIA school, put up the big numbers like you said. The raw power and the speed are both plus tools. We'll see how the raw power plays at the big league level. Chance to stick in center field also. So kind of an interesting guy. And like I said, no disrespect to Hope International, but I think Jonathan and I were both looking at each other outside of our eyes wondering, okay, which one of us has Hope International? We weren't sure where it was located.
Right, and I'm glad you were able to find some information. Back to Bly Madris from Colorado Mesa. Good field to hit is the very snippet of a report I got.
Baranek stole 20 bases. 20 bases. Here we go, Royals.
Kansas City Royals select ID 2071, Cloney, JC, left-handed pitcher, University of Arizona, Tucson, Arizona.
Royals select J.C. Cloney, left-handed pitcher from the University of Arizona.
JC missed a little bit of time this year, and they wanted to make sure he was strong. He pitched well at the end of the year, but this is a guy that pitched in Omaha last year without allowing a run in Omaha, and he was oh so very good. He's not overpowering. He's one of those guys that you completely understand why he gets selected here.
Oh, yeah, Dev. I mean, this is your senior pitchability lefty who, I mean, he was untouchable at the College World Series last year. They won. He might have been College World Series MVP. Jay Johnson, the Arizona coach who took them to within a game of the national title, really 2 runs within the national title in his first year with the Wildcats, said that literally the first thing he did after he got the Arizona job was to reaffirm and secure the commitment of J.C. Cloney, who was a JUCO transfer. So he was lights out. I mean, like you said, he's not going to throw 95, but he's going to put the ball where he wants. He's going to go out and compete and give you a chance to win. Like this type of guy, if you're going to bet on a senior in the 9th round, I'll bet on J.C. Cloney based on what I saw last year in Omaha.
Yeah, it's an interesting winner. It's a guy that's not overpowering, but just loves throwing the baseball. Houston Astros now.
The Houston Astros select redraft 7652 Papierski Mike, catcher from Louisiana State University.
Astros select Mike Papierski, a catcher from LSU.
College catcher Mike Papierski gets the call here in the 9th round by the Houston Astros.
He's a junior. Both he and Evan Skag, who we heard called a couple rounds ago, are Illinois high school products from the class of 2014. Papierski has not hit as hoped at LSU, but he's been a starter for them. He's very capable behind the plate. He does have some bat speed, and he does have some power potential. He's just been inconsistent at the plate. I have not checked the stats up to date like you are now, but when I had checked him about a month ago, he was throwing out 43% of base stealers. Obviously, if you can handle Alex Lang, who's got one of the best curveballs in college baseball, you're ready to handle some pro-caliber pitching. We'll be interested to see. I will assume he's going to sign because he's getting drafted in the top 10 rounds. As we've said multiple times, only 2 players in the top 10 rounds didn't sign. But this is almost a guy that I might have thought maybe he'll go back for his senior year, try to have a better year, and come out. But I believe he's the 7th or 6th LSU player drafted so far.
414 on base, pretty good stuff. Yankees
New York
now.
Yankees select ID number 4672, Gardner Austin, right-handed pitcher, University of Texas, Arlington.
Yankees select Austin Gardner, right-handed pitcher from the University of Texas, Arlington.
Well, the New York Yankees have been all kind of fun. The Mavs is where they dig in now, and they make that pick with Austin Gardner. He's a senior out of Capel High School, pitched junior college baseball as well at Cisco College. Austin Gardner, a right-handed pitcher and a young man who had an amazing year this year, almost exclusively out of the bullpen. 29 appearances, missed a ton of bats, 44 2/3 innings, 55 strikeouts. So Gardner, with his stuff, not just with his numbers, earns the right to get the call, getting big outs for UTA, the Mavericks. Austin Gardner selected by the New York Yankees, a team that made an interesting pick last night in Charlie Schmidt out of South Carolina, coming back from that arm injury, and certainly a guy that I think that they think will help in the bullpen and be a part of rebuilding down at the lower levels because they have amazing things coming all the way through the system. Seattle Mariners now with their ninth round pick.
Select draft ID 4098, last name Benitez, first name Jorge, a left-hand pitcher from Leadership Christian Academy, Guaynabo, Puerto Rico.
Mariners select Jorge Benitez, a left-handed pitcher from the Leadership Christian Academy in Puerto Rico.
Well, now we see a player out of Puerto Rico selected, and from Tao Baja in Puerto Rico. And it's Jorge Benitez, Leadership Christian Academy. There's so many interesting ways to look at it. A lot of times, most of the times, players like this are seen are by traveling and playing showcase caliber baseball in the United States, and there are teams that are willing to put together those rosters. Jorge Benitez, left-handed pitcher, at some point along the way opened some eyes, and he is selected by the Seattle Mariners. Either one of you guys on
Well,
that?
I was going to say they had a couple of really great tournaments in Puerto Rico. I mean, I don't know whether Benitez played, but there's the excellent tournament. I think it's the Excellence tournament that comes a little bit later on in the spring. Excuse me. Must be in the ninth round.